Ladies and gentlemen, today I invite you to explore a truth that often goes unnoticed. The idea that money isn't just about numbers, effort, or luck. It's about energy, alignment, and the way we treat it. So many of us spend our lives chasing wealth, trying to control it, or fearing its absence, without realizing that money, like any form of energy, responds to how we think, feel, and act toward it. This speech is about creating harmony with that energy, about understanding that balance and respect are not just moral values, but powerful forces that can transform the flow of abundance in your life. When you live with emotional balance and treat money with genuine respect, it doesn't need to be chased. It begins to follow you, naturally, effortlessly, and faithfully. Money is a symbol of inner value and self-worth. It reflects not only how much we earn or possess, but how we perceive ourselves and the world around us. The way a person relates to money often reveals deeper truths about their mindset, emotions, and sense of personal power. For some, money feels distant, hard to attain, or undeserved. For others, it flows easily, as if responding to an invisible confidence. This difference rarely lies in circumstance alone. It begins in the mind, in the beliefs and emotional patterns that shape our relationship with worth itself. When a person feels unworthy, they unconsciously reject the flow of abundance. They might say they want success, but their internal dialogue is filled with guilt, fear, or doubt. They fear losing what they have, or believe they must sacrifice joy to earn more. This inner conflict sends a subtle message to the world: I am not ready. And so, opportunities pass by, deals fall apart, and progress feels like a struggle. It isn't that the world is unfair. It's that the person's inner sense of lack creates invisible barriers. Money cannot settle well. Here it does not feel welcomed, respected, or understood. In contrast, those who recognize their own worth naturally draw in prosperity. They do not chase it with desperation because they already feel complete within. They understand that money is a tool, a reflection of energy exchanged between people, ideas, and value. When they give without fear. When they receive, they do so with grace. Their mindset communicates abundance, and the world mirrors it back. This quiet confidence is not arrogance. It is self-assurance built on clarity and purpose. Money itself has no moral quality. It does not judge, love, or hate. It simply amplifies the energy of the person who holds it. In the hands of someone who values themselves, money becomes creative, generous, and expansive. It fuels growth, ideas, and contribution. In the hands of someone burdened by self-doubt, it becomes a source of anxiety or control. Therefore, the first step toward attracting and maintaining wealth is not found in external action, but in internal transformation, the recognition of one's own worthiness to receive and manage it. Every individual carries unconscious beliefs about money, often inherited from childhood or culture. Phrases like, "money doesn't grow on trees," or "rich people are greedy," shape how we see abundance. If we grew up watching struggle or scarcity, those experiences may live quietly in the background of our adult lives, influencing decisions without us realizing it. To change our financial reality, we must become aware of these inner stories and rewrite them. When a person begins to associate money with positive meaning, freedom, creativity, or possibility, they begin to open new channels for it to flow. True wealth begins with emotional maturity. It's the ability to see money not as a measure of identity, but as an expression of balance between giving and receiving. A person who values themselves doesn't cling to money nor spend recklessly. They use it consciously as a form of energy that supports their purpose. They understand that abundance doesn't mean hoarding more. It means trusting that there will always be enough when they act from clarity and integrity. Self-worth is the foundation upon which financial stability is built. When you believe you are capable, deserving, and valuable, you act differently. You make decisions from strength instead of fear. You negotiate better, take bolder opportunities, and attract people who recognize your value. The outer world begins to align with your inner belief system. Money simply follows that vibration. It becomes a mirror reflecting your sense of self. When you see yourself as worthy of abundance, you stop asking the world for permission to prosper. You stop comparing yourself to others or fearing what might go wrong. Instead, you operate from quiet confidence, knowing that every skill, idea, and effort carries value. And because you believe in that value, others begin to believe in it too. In this way, money is not the cause of power. It is the result of power. The inner power of a person who knows their worth, who gives value without fear, and who receives without guilt. When that understanding takes root, financial growth is no longer a pursuit but a natural outcome of emotional and mental alignment. Money becomes an echo of your inner state, a living reflection of how deeply you respect, trust, and believe in yourself. Your thoughts and words shape your financial reality. Every belief you hold and every sentence you speak about money carries energy. That energy influences your mindset, your decisions, and ultimately, your results. Most people underestimate the power of their inner dialogue, thinking of money as something separate from their emotions. Yet, every thought of limitation, every word of complaint, and every feeling of fear quietly programs the mind to repel abundance. The outer world simply responds to the vibration of the inner one. When someone constantly says, "I can't afford this," or "money never stays with me," they reinforce a pattern of lack. The mind begins to accept those words as truth, shaping behavior to fit that belief. Opportunities that could bring growth are overlooked because the individual already expects failure. Even when chances appear, fear blocks action. This cycle continues until a person becomes aware of the power their thoughts hold. The moment awareness enters, change becomes possible. Thoughts are not harmless. They are creative instructions sent into reality. Every image you hold in your mind, every expectation you repeat, organizes your behavior and perception. When you think abundance, your brain searches for proof of abundance. When you think scarcity, it finds only what confirms that view. Words strengthen this effect. They are thoughts spoken into existence. The more you affirm limitation, the more your environment echoes it back. The more you affirm growth, the more pathways to prosperity appear. People often separate emotion from money, believing logic alone drives success. But money responds to both logic and emotion. If your mind says, "I want to succeed," yet your emotions whisper, "I don't deserve it," the emotional voice wins. That conflict drains motivation, creates hesitation, and builds invisible resistance. To truly change your financial state, both your thoughts and emotions must align. When your inner dialogue supports abundance, your energy becomes magnetic. Language has a way of shaping identity. When you repeatedly say, "I'm broke," it doesn't just describe your situation, it defines it. The subconscious mind accepts those words as reality and adjusts your habits to match them. You start to avoid taking risks, miss chances to learn new skills, or settle for less because the identity of "I'm broke" feels safer than change. But when you begin to speak differently, "I'm learning to create more opportunities," "I attract income through creativity and persistence," your subconscious begins to open doors instead of closing them. This isn't empty positivity, it's psychological conditioning. The mind believes what it hears most often. If you feed it fear, it builds walls. If you feed it confidence, it finds solutions. Your words are like seeds. Each one carries potential. Plant words of strength, and you'll harvest stability. Plant words of doubt, and you'll harvest struggle. It's not the universe testing you, it's your own mind organizing your experience according to the language you use. Your financial choices flow directly from your internal beliefs. A person who sees money as scarce will cling to it tightly or avoid investing altogether, fearing loss. A person who sees it as abundant will manage it wisely, confident that more can be earned. These opposite approaches stem not from skill, but from perception. Thoughts create emotions, emotions drive behavior, behavior shapes results. The pattern always begins in the mind. When you consciously shift your words, you begin to reprogram that pattern. Replace statements of fear with statements of intention. Instead of "I can't," say "I will find a way." Instead of "I never have enough," say "I'm learning to create more." Each small change in language weakens the old mental structure of scarcity and builds a new one of possibility. Over time, these new patterns attract new actions. Studying, networking, planning, and executing ideas that naturally bring growth. Financial transformation rarely starts with numbers. It starts with awareness. The moment you recognize that your words carry weight, you gain control over your reality. You stop repeating the language of lack and begin using the language of creation. You start to speak to money not as a stranger, but as something responsive to your energy. When your thoughts are aligned with possibility and your words reflect confidence, your behavior changes effortlessly. You take opportunities that once felt too risky. You see value where others see limitation. You attract situations that match your elevated mindset. The outer world begins to mirror the clarity within you. This is not magic, it's alignment, the natural consequence of thinking, feeling, and speaking from a place of abundance rather than fear. Every person holds the power to reshape their financial reality. It doesn't begin with luck or inheritance. It begins with awareness. the simple but profound realization that your thoughts and words are not passive. They are creative tools that mold experience. When used consciously, they become a bridge between your current reality and the one you wish to build. The mind believes what it is told most often, so tell it the truth of your potential, not the illusion of your limitation. Money responds to energy, not desperation. It moves toward calm confidence and away from fear or need. Many people chase money as if it were a reluctant creature to be trapped, not realizing that their own energy determines whether it comes close or keeps its distance. Desperation carries an energy of lack, and lack always repels what one desires. When you chase something too intensely, you signal that you do not already possess it, and that signal pushes it further away. Energy is communication without words. It is the silent message you send out through your emotions, thoughts, and actions. When your energy is anxious or impatient, you create resistance. When it is stable and certain, you create flow. Money gravitates toward the latter because it thrives in an environment of trust and order. People who move with calm intention tend to attract opportunities easily. Their energy says, I am ready, I can handle more. Desperate energy says, I'm afraid there won't be enough. The difference is invisible, but its impact is enormous. Desperation often hides beneath good intentions. A person may work hard, think positively, and still feel a heavy sense of struggle. The reason is not effort, but vibration. Effort without inner balance becomes exhausting. It drains energy instead of amplifying it. The more someone focuses on needing money, the more they amplify the feeling of not having it. This emotional frequency draws similar experiences, missed chances, slow progress, and recurring financial tension. It's not punishment, it's resonance. The outer world echoes the inner one. Energy built on confidence, however, communicates trust. When you know your value and believe in your ability to create, your presence changes. People sense it. They are drawn to work with you, invest in you, or support your ideas. Money flows through relationships and exchanges, and those are built on trust. Desperation erodes trust because it feels unstable. Calm energy strengthens it because it feels safe. In this way, your emotional state becomes a magnet for or against prosperity. It's easy to mistake activity for attraction. Some people keep themselves endlessly busy, chasing clients, changing strategies, pushing harder, yet still feel stuck. That's because their actions are driven by worry, not inspiration. Desperation narrows perception. It makes you see only what might go wrong and blinds you to what's already working. When your energy relaxes, awareness expands. You notice opportunities that were invisible before. Creativity returns. Solutions appear naturally. Money doesn't respond to how much you do. It responds to the energy behind what you do. Calm energy is not laziness or detachment, it's presence. It means acting from clarity rather than panic. When you take action from that place, your movements carry strength. You make better decisions, negotiate with confidence, and recognize value where others see risk. You're not chasing, you're aligning. You're moving with purpose, not fear. That energy feels different to everyone around you, and because money flows through people, it begins to flow toward you. Desperation, on the other hand, leaks energy. It makes you agree to less than you deserve, take shortcuts, or accept situations that drain you. It creates a cycle of stress that feeds itself. The more you struggle, the more anxious you become, and the more anxiety you project, the less opportunities respond. The key isn't to suppress desperation, but to understand it. It often comes from a deep fear of insecurity, the belief that one wrong move could lead to loss. But when you replace fear with trust in your skills, your persistence, and your growth, that fear begins to dissolve. Energy alignment means your emotions, beliefs, and actions move in the same direction. If your words say, I want abundance, but your emotions say, I'm afraid I'll fail, you send mixed signals. The universe, the market, or the people around you can only respond to clarity. Once your energy becomes consistent, so does your financial reality. Money naturally follows those who are emotionally stable, because stability creates reliability, and reliability attracts flow. Confidence is not arrogance, it's quiet certainty. It says, I know who I am, and I know what I offer. That vibration is magnetic because it feels abundant. When you move through life with this energy, money begins to circulate freely. You no longer depend on chance or approval. You operate from inner assurance. Each thought, choice, and interaction carries a sense of strength that makes others want to connect, collaborate, and contribute. Money responds to that kind of energy. It senses the difference between someone who fears losing it and someone who knows they can always create more. When your focus shifts from survival to creation, your energy shifts from contraction to expansion. And back home. Use money is energy in motion. It naturally moves toward expansion. The calm, grounded, self-assured mind becomes a magnet, while the desperate, fearful one becomes a barrier. Desperation signals emptiness. Confidence signals fullness. Money is drawn to fullness, to the energy of a person who feels complete even before the reward arrives. When you act from that energy, you stop chasing and start attracting. The moment your vibration rises above fear, money begins to notice. It follows calmness, certainty, and creative strength, never desperation. Treat money as a relationship, not a possession. The way you think about it, talk about it, and interact with it determines whether it grows with you or drifts away. When people see money only as something to own, they turn it into an object of control, something to hold tightly, to fear losing, or to chase endlessly. But when you treat it as a relationship, the entire dynamic changes. Relationships thrive on respect, communication, and trust. Money responds to those same principles. Seeing money as a relationship means understanding that it has energy. It reacts to how you treat it, just like a friend would. If you ignore it, it becomes distant. If you misuse it, it withdraws. If you treat it with appreciation and care, it feels safe to stay. Every decision you make about spending, saving, or investing is a conversation. Every thought about lack or abundance is a message you send. This invisible dialogue determines how money moves through your life. When someone treats money as a possession, they often attach their identity to it. Their sense of worth rises and falls with the balance in their account. They begin to see themselves as successful only when they have more than others and unsuccessful when they have less. This emotional dependence creates instability. Just as in a toxic relationship, fear replaces trust. Possession breeds anxiety, the constant worry that what you have could be lost at any moment. True stability can't grow in such a climate because control is always rooted in insecurity. A relationship with money built on respect, however, brings freedom. Respect doesn't mean worship, it means understanding its role and purpose. You acknowledge that money is not your identity, but a partner that helps you express your ideas, support your goals, and expand your potential. You make space for it in your life without making it the center of it. Like any balanced relationship, this one grows when there's gratitude, attention, and honest awareness. Imagine how you would treat a friend who has always supported you. You wouldn't ignore them until you need something, nor would you constantly criticize them. You'd check in, appreciate them, and use their presence wisely. That's exactly how money should be treated. Most people only think about it when it's missing, complaining, or worrying, which sends the message of neglect. But when you build a daily awareness, tracking it, managing it, respecting its movement, you create consistency. Money, like trust, grows where there's attention and care. When people see money as a possession, they often fall into two extremes, hoarding or overspending. Hoarding stems from fear, the belief that there may never be enough. Overspending stems from emptiness, the attempt to fill emotional gaps with material things. Both reflect imbalance in the relationship. But when you view money as a living connection, you seek balance instead of control. You spend with intention, save with purpose, and share without guilt. Each choice strengthens trust between you and the energy of abundance. A healthy relationship with money also means open communication. You face financial challenges with honesty rather than avoidance. You take responsibility for mistakes instead of blaming circumstances. You learn to listen to what your emotions are saying. Anxiety often signals disorganization. Guilt points to overex. Tension and excitement hints at opportunity. When you listen without judgment, money begins to feel safer in your hands. It knows it's being handled with awareness rather than impulse. Possession, on the other hand, is rooted in fear of loss. It creates a cycle of control, earning more, spending more, then fearing it will disappear. This cycle never ends because it's fueled by emotional insecurity, not purpose. In contrast, when you treat money as a relationship, you release the need to control it. You focus instead on harmony, knowing that when you manage it with care, it will naturally multiply. Relationships thrive when both sides benefit. Money grows when it is used in ways that create value, not just accumulation. Money is not loyal to those who merely want to own it. It stays with those who understand it. It wants to be in movement, invested, circulated, shared with intention. Stagnant money loses its strength, just as a neglected relationship loses warmth. To maintain connection, you must keep the energy alive. That means continuous growth, continuous awareness, and continuous gratitude. When you treat money as a relationship, you step out of fear and into partnership. You no longer see it as something that defines you, but as something that walks beside you. It reflects your mindset, your discipline, and your emotional maturity. You nurture it, learn from it, and allow it to evolve with you. And like any meaningful relationship, the more understanding you bring into it, the stronger and more supportive it becomes, quietly, naturally, and without force. Fear and resentment push money away. These two emotions act like invisible walls that stand between you and the flow of abundance. They are born from misunderstanding, from seeing money as an enemy, a burden, or a source of pain rather than as a neutral form of energy. When fear and resentment dominate your relationship with money, they create resistance that prevents it from staying or growing. Many people live in this pattern without realizing it, repeating the same emotional reactions to financial situations and wondering why nothing changes. Fear around money often begins early. It forms through observation, watching parents argue about bills, hearing constant talk of struggle, or feeling anxiety whenever the topic of finances arises. Over time, those experiences plant beliefs in the subconscious. Money is hard to earn, there's never enough, or I'm not good with money. These thoughts become emotional habits, shaping the way you behave as an adult. Fear keeps you from taking risks, from asking for what you deserve, and from seeing opportunities that could bring growth. It creates a mental state of survival where every decision feels unsafe. In that state, creativity and confidence, the true sources of prosperity, disappear. Resentment adds another layer to this blockage. It develops when someone feels that money is unfairly distributed or that others have it easier. Instead of inspiring motivation, it breeds comparison, jealousy, and bitterness. Resentment silently declares, I hate that I don't have what others do, and that emotion repels wealth. Because resentment is rooted in negativity, it closes the heart and clouds the mind. It keeps a person stuck in judgment rather than learning. It's impossible to attract what you secretly despise. If you believe money is corrupt, greedy, or evil, a part of you will resist having more of it, even while consciously wanting it. Fear and resentment both communicate rejection. Energy moves toward openness, not hostility. If money could sense emotion, fear would feel like insecurity, and resentment would feel like anger. Neither is inviting. When your emotional tone says, I don't trust you, or I hate what you represent, you unconsciously push away the very thing you're asking for. This isn't about magic. It's about alignment. Your thoughts, emotions, and actions must move in harmony for results to appear. When your words say, I want financial freedom, but your emotions say, money causes pain, you send mixed signals, and money responds to confusion by staying away. Fear often disguises itself as caution. A person may say, I'm just being careful, when in truth, they are paralyzed by the fear of loss. They hesitate to invest, to try something new, or to trust their abilities. That hesitation is costly, not because the opportunity itself is perfect, but because it weakens the habit of courage. Every time fear wins, confidence shrinks, and so does financial flow. The same applies to resentment. Every moment spent criticizing others' success could be used learning from it. Jealousy consumes energy that could have been used for creation. To release fear and resentment, one must first understand their origin. They are emotional echoes of insecurity and misunderstanding. Money is not the cause of pain. It's merely a reflection of how pain expresses itself in material form. People who fear money often fear responsibility. People who resent it often resent their own perceived powerlessness. When those emotions are acknowledged instead of ignored, they begin to lose their grip. Awareness breaks the cycle. When fear controls your relationship with money, you live in constant anticipation of loss. You might save obsessively, yet never feel secure. When resentment controls it, you sabotage opportunities. You find reasons to reject offers, delay progress, or doubt your abilities. In both cases, your actions mirror your emotions. The outer results always match the inner atmosphere. Money, being a mirror of energy exchange, mirrors back instability when you project instability. Letting go of fear means developing trust, not blind optimism, but faith in your capacity to handle whatever arises. It's understanding that money flows toward competence and clarity, not chaos. Letting go of resentment means shifting your focus from comparison to creation. You learn to see others succeed as proof that abundance exists, not as evidence of your lack. The emotional tone changes from bitterness to curiosity, and curiosity attracts growth. Fear shrinks your world, resentment poisons it. Together, they form a barrier that repels both wealth and peace of mind. The moment you begin to release them, something subtle changes in your energy. Decisions become easier, your thoughts clearer, and your actions more confident. Opportunities that once seemed invisible begin to appear. Money, like any form of energy, flows toward openness. The more freedom you create within yourself, the more easily it finds its way to you. Respect and gratitude attract financial flow. These two emotions hold a quiet but extraordinary power to shift your relationship with money from struggle to harmony. When you respect something, you acknowledge its value, its role, and its importance in your life. When you feel gratitude, you focus on what already exists rather than what is missing. Together, respect and gratitude create a mental and emotional environment that invites abundance rather than chasing it away. They transform how you think, how you act, and how you respond to opportunities. And money, being a form of energy, responds to that shift. Respect for money begins with understanding that it is not merely paper, coins, or numbers on a screen. It is a tool for exchange, a representation of effort, time, creativity, and value. When you treat money carelessly, whether through impulsive spending, constant complaining, or disregard for how it moves in your life, you send a message that you don't value the energy behind it. Respect, on the other hand, means you are conscious of your decisions. You pay attention to how money enters your life, how it leaves, and how it supports your well-being. You understand its importance without worshipping it. This balanced attitude naturally attracts stability. Gratitude deepens this process. Gratitude turns attention toward what you have instead of what you lack. It shifts your energy from scarcity to sufficiency. Many people spend their lives saying, "I'll be grateful when I have more," not realizing that more cannot appear without gratitude for what already exists. When you constantly focus on absence, you reinforce lack. When you focus on presence, you multiply it. Gratitude expands awareness, and in that expanded awareness, opportunities that were once overlooked become visible. You start to notice ideas, connections, and solutions that lead to growth. Both respect and gratitude reprogram your emotional frequency. Money, like all forms of energy, resonates with the vibration of attention and appreciation. When you show respect by budgeting carefully, saving intentionally, or investing wisely, you demonstrate responsibility. When you express gratitude for even small amounts, a paycheck, a gift, or a simple meal paid for, you affirm to yourself that abundance exists in your life. These actions build a subtle emotional momentum that draws more of the same. You are no longer chasing money from desperation, but inviting it through appreciation. Disrespect for money, however, creates disorder. It shows up as waste, neglect, or entitlement, behaviors that reflect an underlying belief that money will always slip away, or that it doesn't matter. Gratitude cannot grow in such soil. When you treat money without respect, you unconsciously distance yourself from it. Similarly, when you complain about your financial situation without acknowledging what's already working, you shut down the flow of possibility. Complaints focus on lack. Gratitude focuses on presence. Energy expands where attention goes. Respect also means respecting the process of earning and the people involved in it. When you value the work that generates income, whether your own or someone else's, you honor the effort behind money. This respect translates into diligence, integrity, and care in what you do. Money gravitates toward those who handle it with thoughtfulness because respect creates trust, both in yourself and in those around you. Employers, clients, and partners naturally respond to people who respect what they handle. Gratitude, on the emotional level, dissolves resistance. When you're thankful for what you have, fear loses its power. You stop worrying about what might go wrong and start appreciating what has gone right. This mental shift opens space for creativity. Gratitude calms the nervous system, allowing clearer decisions and better timing, both essential for attracting financial opportunities. When you feel good about what you have, you move with a sense of abundance instead of anxiety. That vibration influences every conversation, every transaction, every opportunity. People sense it. The world responds to it. Respect and gratitude also nurture patience. Many people sabotage their financial progress because they act from frustration or impatience. They want results immediately and overlook the long-term process of growth. Respecting money means understanding that prosperity develops through discipline and time. Gratitude gives you peace during that process. Together, they form the foundation for sustainable wealth. Quick gains may come and go, but a grateful and respectful mindset creates lasting flow. A simple practice can transform everything. Every time you receive money, take a moment to feel thankful. Every time you spend it, bless its purpose, whether it's paying a bill, buying food, or supporting someone else's work. That small shift in awareness builds a deeper relationship with the energy of exchange. You begin to see money not as a problem to solve, but as a partner in creating the life you desire. Respect ensures you handle it wisely. gratitude ensures it continues to return. When you align your energy with appreciation, your actions naturally become wiser, calmer, and more confident. You stop acting from fear and begin acting from faith in your ability to create, earn, and grow. The more you respect what you have and appreciate its presence, the more your life reflects that vibration back to you. Respect and gratitude are not abstract virtues. They are practical energies that open the gates of financial flow and sustain them through every season of life. Chasing money reflects inner scarcity. When a person is constantly running after wealth, it reveals something deeper than ambition. It exposes an emotional void, a sense of lack, that no amount of money can truly fill. The chase is rarely about the money itself. It's about the feeling one hopes money will bring: security, validation, freedom, or peace. Yet when these feelings are pursued through external means alone, the pursuit becomes endless, because the inner sense of not enough keeps growing no matter how much is acquired. Inner scarcity is not a lack of money. It is a lack of connection with one's own sense of worth. It's the belief that happiness, power, or acceptance lies somewhere outside oneself. The individual trapped in this pattern believes that if they can just earn a bit more, buy one more thing, or reach one more milestone, the emptiness will disappear. But money cannot fix a wound that begins within the mind. It may temporarily soothe insecurity, but it cannot erase it. The chase, therefore, becomes a form of running, not toward wealth, but away from the discomfort of one's own unresolved fears. When you chase money, you signal to yourself and the world that you do not already possess enough. Every action born from this mindset reinforces the idea of lack. You start to see opportunities not as creative expressions, but as survival mechanisms. Work becomes a struggle, not a contribution. Effort becomes tension, not flow. The vibration of desperation replaces the natural confidence that draws abundance. In this state, money senses instability. It becomes elusive, fleeting, like a reflection in water, always near, never graspable. True abundance begins when you stop chasing and start creating. Creation comes from fullness. Chasing comes from emptiness. When you focus on your value, your craft, and your capacity to give something meaningful to the world, you naturally attract what you need. People and opportunities respond to your calm assurance. But when your focus is purely on acquiring, on getting, you emit the frequency of fear. The fear of not having enough, not being enough. That fear builds resistance. It blocks the flow you're trying to reach. The irony is that those who chase money the hardest often push it away the fastest. Because chasing is rooted in anxiety, it leads to poor decisions, quick deals, forced partnerships, risky investments, or work that drains the spirit. The pursuit becomes mechanical, disconnected from purpose, and money, being a reflection of energy, does not thrive in such a state. It flows toward those who move with clarity, confidence, and calm direction. Scarcity is not only emotional, but mental. It shapes thoughts like, "There's never enough," "I'm behind," or "I must hurry before it's gone." These beliefs narrow your awareness. You begin to overlook opportunities that don't fit your desperate vision. You focus on what's missing rather than what's available. You compare yourself constantly to others, feeding the illusion that wealth exists only outside of you. This inner competition drains your creative energy, the very energy that could have opened real doors. When you stop chasing, your perception changes. You start noticing the abundance that was already surrounding you. You begin to appreciate the progress you've made, the skills you've developed, and the simple resources you already possess. That appreciation expands your mental and emotional space, allowing inspiration to enter. Ideas flow more easily. The mind becomes less reactive and more receptive. Suddenly, money begins to appear in unexpected ways, not because you chased it, but because you aligned with it. Inner scarcity can only be transformed through self-awareness. You must look at the root of your chase and ask, what am I really seeking? Is it freedom, respect, or peace of mind? Once you identify that hidden desire, you can begin cultivating it from within. If you desire freedom, practice living freely in your thoughts and decisions. If you desire respect, start respecting yourself through discipline and integrity. If you desire peace, nurture calmness in your daily life. Money will then follow these states naturally because it gravitates toward balance, not panic. The wealthiest people are not those who chase money. They are those who understand its rhythm. They move with it, not after it. They see it as a byproduct of their creativity, not as the purpose of their existence. Their energy is focused, not frantic, and because of that, they attract stability. They have shifted from a mindset of scarcity to a mindset of sufficiency. They know that their value creates money, not the other way around. The act of chasing keeps you in the future, always reaching for what hasn't yet arrived. But abundance can only exist in the present moment. It is a state of being, not a destination. When you realize that, your focus turns inward. You begin to cultivate your inner wealth, your ideas, your discipline, your gratitude. That inner wealth becomes the foundation upon which financial prosperity grows. Money becomes a companion, not a goal. When you no longer chase money, you begin to attract it. The tension dissolves, replaced by trust. You stop working from fear and start working from flow. You start creating value, and value always brings reward. The chase ends not when you earn more, but when you finally understand that you were never incomplete to begin with. Money mirrors your mindset and emotions. It does not simply respond to effort or luck. It reflects the energy behind every choice you make, every thought you hold, and every feeling you carry about it. The way you think and feel about money determines how it moves in your life, whether it flows easily or constantly slips away. It is not the paper or the number that carries meaning, but the attitude that surrounds it. Money becomes a reflection of your internal world, echoing your confidence or your fear, your sense of abundance or your sense of lack. If you approach money with anxiety, it senses instability. You may work harder, save more, or plan carefully, but deep inside there remains a vibration of worry, a quiet belief that there will never be enough. This belief becomes a filter through which you perceive everything. Opportunities seem scarce, unexpected expenses feel threatening, and even moments of comfort bring unease because your mind is still anchored in fear. Money, in response, behaves just as your emotions dictate, uncertain, fleeting, and difficult to hold on to. It mirrors your tension perfectly, creating external proof of your internal unrest. But when your mindset is rooted in trust, balance, and purpose, money takes on a different rhythm. It follows your calm direction. It responds to focus rather than force. A mind that feels abundant doesn't chase or cling. It creates, it builds, and it circulates value. This inner peace allows for wiser decisions and better timing. You begin to recognize opportunities not as luck, but as natural extensions of your energy. You are not chasing wealth. You are allowing it to respond to the stability within you. Every belief you hold about money carries an emotional charge. If you believe that money is difficult to earn, you unconsciously make choices that reinforce that difficulty. If you think money corrupts, you push it away whenever it approaches. If you see money as freedom, you open yourself to experiences that expand your possibilities. These internal stories define your financial reality long before numbers appear in your account. Money doesn't have a mind of its own. It simply takes the shape of yours. Your emotions around money often reveal your deepest conditioning. Many people inherit beliefs from their families or culture without questioning them. Money is hard to keep. Rich people are selfish. I'm not good with finances. These thoughts quietly sculpt emotional responses that determine how you behave. You might overspend to feel powerful, hoard to feel safe, or avoid money entirely to escape guilt. None of these actions come from reason. They come from emotion. The money itself is neutral. Your emotional state gives it meaning. To understand how money mirrors you, observe how you feel when you handle it. Do you feel anxious paying bills? Do you feel guilty when you receive more than expected? Do you hesitate to ask for what you deserve? Each of these reactions points to a belief that shapes your relationship with abundance. The emotion behind the act is more powerful than the act itself. Paying a bill with resentment reinforces scarcity. Paying it with gratitude affirms flow. The energy you send out becomes the energy that returns. A healthy mindset views money as a reflection of self-respect and creative potential. It recognizes that wealth is not about greed, but about alignment. The harmony between what you value and how you express it. When you respect your abilities, you respect the rewards they bring. When you believe in your capacity to grow, you allow money to grow with you. Emotionally stable people attract financial stability because they project clarity, discipline, and self-trust. Negative emotions like envy or shame distort this mirror. When you envy others for their success, you signal to your subconscious that you are separate from abundance. When you feel shame about wanting money, you create inner conflict between desire and guilt. These emotional contradictions co-sounds and fuse your energy, sending mixed signals to the world. You may attract brief success, but lose it quickly because your emotions are not aligned with retention. The mirror cannot reflect clearly if your mind is clouded with self-doubt. Awareness is the turning point. Once you notice that your financial life reflects your emotional life, you can begin to change from the inside. Replacing fear with trust, resentment with appreciation, and shame with confidence alters the vibration that money responds to. It's not magic, it's psychology. Your emotions drive your behavior, and your behavior determines your results. The more peaceful you become internally, the more consistent your external results will be. Money, in essence, is feedback. It tells you what you believe about your own value. If it flows steadily, it mirrors a sense of self-worth and stability. If it comes in bursts and disappears, it mirrors inconsistency in focus or belief. It shows you where your emotions need balance. When you shift your internal dialogue from fear to possibility, from scarcity to sufficiency, the reflection changes. The mirror becomes clearer. You begin to see that money was never against you. It was only showing you yourself. Every transaction, every earning, every expense is part of that reflection. The question is not, how can I get more? But, what am I projecting? When your mindset and emotions align with confidence, integrity, and calm gratitude, money naturally mirrors that balance. It becomes steady, loyal, and responsive. You no longer fight for it. You simply understand it. And in that understanding, it flows exactly as you do. Inner peace creates outer prosperity. It is not merely a poetic idea, but a psychological truth that shapes every layer of human experience. The outer world, your career, relationships, and finances, often reflects the inner condition of your thoughts and emotions. When your mind is calm, decisions flow with clarity, and opportunities appear where before there was confusion. When your inner world is chaotic, even the most promising paths seem blocked by fear, impatience, or self-doubt. Prosperity, in this sense, is not something earned by force. It is something allowed through balance. Inner peace is the foundation of clear perception. When you are at peace within yourself, you can see situations as they are, not as your fears imagine them to be. The anxious mind distorts reality, making small problems seem enormous and simple solutions seem impossible. Peace removes that distortion. It gives you the mental space to observe before reacting, to choose before acting. This composure allows for better financial decisions, stronger professional relationships, and more creative problem-solving, all of which are essential components of prosperity. Prosperity is not only about wealth, it is about flow, the ease with which life supports your efforts. When your inner state is centered, you stop resisting life's rhythm. You begin to work with it instead of against it. Projects unfold more smoothly because you're not acting out of fear or comparison. You trust your timing. You trust your capacity. The peace within radiates outward as confidence and grounded energy, attracting people and circumstances that match your stability. Others feel safe collaborating with you because you're not reactive or unpredictable. This harmony becomes a silent magnet for opportunity. A restless mind, on the other hand, blocks prosperity by scattering focus. When anxiety dominates, you make impulsive decisions, chase quick rewards, or abandon ideas before they mature. Stress signals the brain to seek safety, not growth. It pulls attention away from creativity and towards survival. Even if success arrives, it often feels empty because the internal noise hasn't quieted. Inner peace breaks that pattern. It reprograms your nervous system to respond calmly, making you more effective and consistent. In your actions. Prosperity follows consistency, not chaos. Peace also shapes your emotional relationship with money. Many people approach finances with tension, fear of loss, guilt over spending, or frustration about never having enough. These emotions create mental friction that affects behavior. Peace dissolves that friction. It allows you to make choices from understanding rather than impulse. You begin to see money as a tool instead of a test, a form of energy that supports your intentions rather than defines your worth. This emotional detachment doesn't mean indifference, it means mastery. The calmer your relationship with money, the more responsibly and confidently you manage it. Inner peace enhances intuition, a subtle awareness that guides wise choices. Prosperity is rarely the result of blind effort alone. It often comes from a moment of insight, a clear idea, or a decision made at the right time. When the mind is agitated, that inner guidance gets drowned in noise. But when it's still, insights rise naturally, almost effortlessly. You sense which opportunities are genuine and which are distractions. This intuitive clarity can save years of wasted effort and direct you toward paths that yield real abundance. Peace also brings endurance. Prosperity is a process, not an instant event. It requires patience, resilience, and the ability to navigate uncertainty without collapsing under pressure. When your peace depends on outer circumstances, you're easily shaken by setbacks. But when peace is rooted within, you remain steady through change. You recover faster, learn deeper, and move forward with strength. This emotional stability builds the kind of prosperity that lasts, not fragile success that vanishes at the first sign of difficulty. Your relationships, too, are influenced by your inner state. People naturally gravitate toward calm energy, a peaceful presence. It creates trust. It inspires cooperation and open communication. In business and personal life alike, such relationships form the real foundation of prosperity. Opportunities often come through people, and people are drawn to those who bring a sense of ease rather than tension. Inner peace turns you into that kind of person, someone whose stability becomes a source of value in itself. Even creativity flourishes in peace. The most innovative ideas come not from panic, but from stillness. When your mind is not consumed by worry, it has the space to imagine, to combine thoughts in new ways, to dream bigger. Prosperity is deeply linked to creativity, because wealth often follows the ability to create something valuable. A peaceful mind is fertile ground for inspiration. It allows you to connect with new visions and transform them into tangible results. Inner peace also changes your relationship with time. You stop rushing, you stop comparing, you start aligning. In that alignment, your energy becomes focused and powerful. You realize that prosperity isn't something you have to chase. It's something you allow by removing the inner blocks that prevent it. Fear, anger, impatience, and self-doubt are those blocks. Peace dissolves them quietly, and as they fade, the outer world adjusts to match your new state. The truth is that prosperity is not an external trophy, but a reflection of inner order. When you are calm, you see clearly. When you see clearly, you act wisely. And when you act wisely, the results in finances, health, and relationships begin to mirror that harmony. Inner peace is not a luxury, it is the groundwork of every lasting form of success. The world responds not to how much you want, but to how balanced you are inside while wanting it. Abundance starts from within. It is not something that suddenly appears when circumstances improve, nor is it dependent on external wealth or recognition. True abundance is a state of mind, a quiet confidence that what you have, who you are, and what you can create are all ready enough. It begins as an internal awareness, a deep belief that life is not withholding anything from you. When you live from that understanding, your actions, thoughts, and emotions naturally align with growth, opportunity, and gratitude. The outer experience of abundance is merely the reflection of this inner fullness. Many people live with the illusion that abundance arrives from the outside, that more money, possessions, or success will finally make them feel secure. Yet no matter how much they gain, the feeling of not enough quietly persists. The reason is simple. External achievement cannot fill an internal void. The sense of lack originates in the mind, not in the world. When you feel incomplete inside, even the greatest success feels fragile. You spend energy protecting what you have rather than enjoying it. But when you feel abundant within, even small things become meaningful, and from that contentment, growth unfolds naturally. Abundance is a perception, a way of seeing life. Two people can look at the same situation and experience it completely differently. One sees limitation, the other sees potential. The difference is not in the situation, but in the inner lens through which it's viewed. A mind grounded in gratitude and self-trust recognizes value everywhere. It finds possibilities in setbacks, lessons in loss, and beauty in simplicity. That outlook magnetizes opportunities because energy follows attention. When you focus on what is available rather than what is missing, life expands to match that vision. The roots of inner abundance lie in self-worth. When you know your own value, you stop seeking constant validation from external sources. You begin to realize that your creativity, resilience, and presence are already forms of wealth. This inner security makes you open, generous, and receptive. You give more freely because you trust there is always enough time, enough opportunity, enough support. This generosity, in turn, invites more flow. People are naturally drawn to those who operate from fullness rather than need. The energy of abundance becomes a cycle that feeds itself. Scarcity, on the other hand, begins in thought. It says, "There isn't enough for everyone," or "I must fight to survive." This mindset breeds competition, jealousy, and constant comparison. It drains your emotional energy and clouds your creativity. In this state, you cannot see clearly because your mind is consumed with fear. Inner abundance dissolves this fear. It shifts the focus from competition to creation, from lack to possibility. You stop asking, "What can I get?" and start asking, "What can I give?" And in giving, you discover that what you have multiplies. Abundance from within also depends on emotional balance. A calm heart is able to appreciate the present moment without being consumed by what's next. When you're at peace inside, you stop rushing after things, and ironically, that calmness attracts more. The universe mirrors the frequency of your energy. When you vibrate with anxiety and need, everything seems out of reach. When you vibrate with gratitude and trust, things begin to unfold with ease. Abundance is not about control. It is about alignment, aligning your emotions with trust in your ability to grow and adapt. It also requires awareness of how thoughts shape reality. Every belief you hold becomes a command to your subconscious mind. If you constantly repeat that life is unfair or that opportunities never come, your mind filters experiences to confirm those beliefs. But if you affirm that possibilities exist everywhere, you start noticing doors that were always there but unseen. Inner abundance trains the mind to look for expansion instead of limitation. The outer results follow the direction of that focus. Abundance is deeply tied to gratitude. Gratitude grounds you in the present and transforms ordinary experiences into treasures. When you are thankful for what already exists, you create emotional space for more. Gratitude amplifies awareness of value. It shifts the conversation from absence to presence. Each time you consciously acknowledge something good, a moment of peace, a supportive person, or a small success, you reinforce the energy of sufficiency. And sufficiency is the soil from which abundance grows. Inner abundance also expresses itself through confidence, not arrogance, but the quiet trust that you can handle whatever comes. This trust frees you from the fear of loss. You stop grasping and start flowing. You take risks with an open heart, knowing that even if something fails, your worth remains intact. That kind of energy draws opportunities naturally because it is rooted in stability, not desperation. When you realize that abundance starts within, your approach to life changes entirely. You no longer wait for the world to provide before you feel fulfilled. You begin from fulfillment and allow the world to reflect it back. You understand that wealth, success, and happiness are outcomes of internal alignment, not the causes of it. The feeling of abundance becomes your starting point, not your reward. From that inner fullness, you create, give, and live differently, with ease instead of effort, with trust instead of tension. The outer prosperity that follows is simply the echo of what has already been established within. Speak to money with appreciation and confidence. The way you communicate with money, through your thoughts, emotions, and actions, shapes the kind of relationship you build with it. Just as a friend feels drawn toward warmth, respect, and gratitude, money responds to the tone you carry toward it. Many people talk about money from a place of fear, frustration, or resentment, not realizing that these emotions send a message of rejection. When you speak to money with appreciation, you acknowledge its value. When you speak to it with confidence, you affirm your readiness to handle it. Together, these attitudes invite flow, stability, and growth into your financial life. To speak to money with appreciation means to treat it not as an enemy or a mystery, but as a trusted ally. Most people unknowingly speak to money through complaints. There's never enough. It disappears so fast. I can't afford that. These words carry energy, an emotional vibration that money feels. Complaints signal scarcity. They declare that you are in opposition to money rather than in partnership with it. Appreciation, however, changes that conversation entirely. When you say, "I'm grateful for the income I have," or "I'm thankful this bill allows me to enjoy electricity, comfort, or connection," you transform a moment of tension into one of respect. That respect creates emotional space for more to enter. Confidence deepens this relationship. Confidence says, "I can manage what I receive. I am capable of creating value, and I trust money to flow through me responsibly." These affirmations are not mere positive thinking. They are declarations of trust, both in yourself and in the energy that money represents. When you doubt your ability to handle wealth, you unconsciously push it away. The universe mirrors that uncertainty by withholding opportunities. But when you carry yourself with calm assurance, you signal to life that you're ready to receive and sustain abundance. Confidence tells money it will be safe with you. Appreciation also helps heal emotional resistance around money. Many people associate it with stress, guilt, or greed due to past conditioning. They learned that talking about money is impolite or that wanting more is selfish. These beliefs create emotional distance. Speaking to money with appreciation dissolves that distance by normalizing your relationship with it. You begin to see money as a neutral form of energy, neither good nor bad, simply responsive to intention. Gratitude softens judgment and replaces guilt with acceptance. The more you appreciate money's role in your life, the more peaceful and balanced your energy becomes. Confidence, on the other hand, prevents fear from taking control. When unexpected expenses arise, fear often whispers that you're losing control or that something bad will happen. Confidence counters this by reminding you of your resourcefulness. It says, "I've managed before, and I'll manage again." This mindset keeps your nervous system calm, allowing clearer decisions. Instead of reacting with panic, you respond with wisdom. You find solutions, negotiate better, or simply trust that flow will restore itself. Money thrives in calm energy. It moves away from chaos, but settles where stability lives. When you speak to money with appreciation and confidence, your behavior naturally aligns with those emotions. You start managing money responsibly because you respect it. You budget not from fear of loss, but from a desire for clarity. You save not out of anxiety, but from a sense of preparation. Every action becomes an expression of gratitude and trust. Even spending transforms. Instead of guilt, you feel appreciation for what your money allows you to experience. You understand that circulation, not hoarding, keeps the flow alive. Money, like any form of energy, grows when it moves through appreciation. Speaking to money also involves your internal dialogue, the thoughts you repeat daily. Every time you say to yourself, "I can't afford it," you limit possibility. Every time you say, "I'm open to receiving more," you expand it. Words are instructions to your subconscious mind, which directs your focus and actions. When your inner dialogue is filled with appreciation, you notice opportunities more easily. When it's filled with confidence, you approach challenges with solutions rather than fear. These two qualities work together to reshape your financial reality from the inside out. Money also reflects how you feel about yourself. If you lack self-worth, you'll find it hard to keep or attract money because deep down you don't believe you deserve it. Speaking to money with appreciation reminds you that you are already valuable and that money is simply one of many ways the world reflects that value back to you. Confidence reinforces this by affirming that you are capable of handling more, that wealth aligns with your ability, not your fear. Together, they turn your relationship with money into a healthy partnership built on trust, not tension. Even when challenges arise, a slow month, an unexpected bill, or a temporary setback, appreciation and confidence sustain your balance. Instead of collapsing into fear, you can say, "This is a temporary adjustment. I'm grateful for what remains, and I trust more will come." These words don't deny reality. They direct energy toward recovery instead of panic. Over time, this emotional steadiness builds resilience. You become the kind of person who attracts stability because your vibration matches it. Speaking to money with appreciation and confidence is ultimately about energy alignment. It means treating it as a friend rather than a force to control. You thank it when it arrives, you respect it while it stays, and you release it with trust when it goes, knowing it will return, as loyal relationships do. The tone of your communication matters more than the amount you hold. When that tone is filled with gratitude and assurance, money begins to behave differently, not as something distant or difficult, but as a reflection of your calm, confident state of being. Align your intentions with purpose, not greed. The energy behind your actions determines the quality of the results you create. Many people chase money with an unconscious intention driven by fear, comparison, or insecurity. They believe wealth alone will fill the emptiness inside or bring validation from others. But greed is not an energy of growth. It's an energy of grasping, of clinging to something outside yourself for worth. When your intentions come from greed, your focus narrows. You see life through the lens of lack, and everything you do becomes an attempt to compensate for an inner void. Purpose, however, expands your vision. When your intentions are rooted in purpose, money becomes a byproduct of your alignment, not the goal itself. You are no longer chasing, you are creating. You attract wealth as a reflection of contribution, value, and meaning. Greed is not about wanting more, it's about fearing that there will never be enough. It's a mindset born from scarcity, not abundance. When greed takes hold, your actions may still produce material success, but it will often come with anxiety, exhaustion, or emptiness. You may find yourself achieving financial milestones yet feeling unfulfilled. This happens because greed directs attention outward, toward accumulation and comparison, while purpose directs attention inward, toward expression and growth. Purpose allows money to flow naturally as an extension of service, while greed makes it something to hoard and protect. When you align your intentions with purpose, you begin to operate from authenticity. You create, work, and build, not merely to gain, but to contribute. You focus on solving problems, improving lives, and expanding what's possible. The satisfaction that follows this path is deeper and longer lasting because it's tied to meaning rather than status. Purposeful intention invites money through alignment. Greedy intention demands it through force. One attracts flow, the other creates friction. When your motivation is clean, driven by curiosity, service, or creativity, money senses that purity and responds willingly. Purpose also brings clarity. When you are driven by greed, your direction is often scattered. You chase opportunities without discernment, switching paths whenever a quicker profit appears. This restlessness drains focus and energy, but when your purpose is clear, you know where to place your attention. You become intentional about how you use time, effort, and resources. Decisions become easier because they are guided by meaning, not by fear of missing out. Money thrives in environments of clarity and direction. It gravitates toward people who know what they're doing and why they're doing it. Greed, on the other hand, often masks insecurity. It's the voice that says, if I just earn a little more, I'll finally feel safe. Or, if I have what they have, I'll finally matter. But no amount of accumulation can fill that gap, because it's emotional, not financial. The only way to resolve it is to shift from wanting to express to wanting to impress. Purpose heals that insecurity by reconnecting you to something larger than yourself. When your goals serve a meaningful reason, whether it's growth, contribution, or mastery, money becomes an instrument of expansion rather than validation. There is a different kind of power that comes from purpose. It's calm, stable, and resilient. When setbacks occur, greed panics and blames. Purpose adapts and learns. Greed seeks shortcuts. Purpose seeks understanding. Greed fears loss. Purpose trusts process. In the long run, those who operate from purpose build wealth that lasts because it's supported by inner strength. Greed may create temporary spikes of success, but it often leads to burnout or self-sabotage. Purpose sustains momentum because it aligns external goals with internal peace. Money earned through purpose carries a different vibration. It feels lighter, freer, and more meaningful. You enjoy spending it, investing it, and circulating it because it came from integrity. It represents value shared, not energy drained. Every financial gain becomes a mirror reflecting your growth, not your greed. This is why people who work from a place of purpose tend to attract loyal opportunities and lasting success. Their energy is magnetic, not manipulative. They are not chasing wealth, they are embodying it. Aligning with purpose also requires awareness. It asks you to question your motives before taking action. Am I doing this out of fear or out of passion? Am I trying to prove something or to create something? The more honest you are with yourself, the easier it becomes to release greed's grip. Greed hides in subtle places, in the need for recognition, in the fear of being left behind, or in the obsession with control. Purpose loosens those attachments by reminding you that abundance flows when your intentions are clean. The difference between purpose and greed lies in energy. Greed contracts. It wants to hold, to own, to dominate. Purpose expands. It wants to share, to evolve, to express. The more you align with the energy of expansion, the more opportunities you'll naturally encounter. This doesn't mean denying your desire for wealth. It means refining it. Desire fueled by purpose becomes a force of creation. Desire fueled by greed becomes a cycle of craving. When you pursue money through purpose, you honor its power without being enslaved by it. Purpose also gives direction to abundance. Without it, wealth can easily become chaos, spent without meaning, earned without joy, or pursued without peace. But when you align with purpose, every financial goal connects to a deeper intention, to build something worthwhile, to experience growth, to leave a positive impact. In this alignment, money becomes not just a means to live, but a reflection of how intentionally you live. It follows those who know not just what they want, but why they want it. And when your why is pure, the how unfolds naturally. True wealth is about mastery, not control. Many people believe wealth is defined by how much they can own, how much they can command, or how many aspects of life they cue and manipulate into submission. But control is an illusion that drains energy and creates anxiety. Mastery, on the other hand, is a state of inner power. It's about understanding how to work with the flow of life rather than against it. When you seek control, you try to force outcomes. When you seek mastery, you develop the skills and mindset that naturally attract and sustain prosperity. True wealth isn't just the accumulation of things, it's the ability to remain centered, capable, and calm regardless of circumstances. Control comes from fear, the fear of loss, uncertainty, or inadequacy. It's an attempt to secure stability by holding everything tightly, as if clinging could prevent change. But life is movement, and money is part of that movement. Trying to control it only restricts its natural flow. You may succeed for a while, but eventually the pressure of control collapses under its own weight. Mastery, however, is the art of balance. It allows you to engage with money consciously and confidently without being ruled by it. A master of wealth doesn't try to dictate every turn of the tide. Instead, they learn how to navigate it. They know when to act, when to wait, and when to let go. Control is rigid, while mastery is fluid. When you operate from control, you measure success by dominance. How much you can command, how little you can lose. When you operate from mastery, you measure success by harmony. How well your actions, emotions, and values align. Mastery is about cultivating understanding how money moves, how emotions influence decisions, and how mindset shapes reality. This awareness gives you influence without the need for manipulation. You become a participant in the flow of abundance, not a prisoner of it. True wealth arises from this understanding. A person with mastery can lose material possessions and still rebuild because their foundation is internal, not external. Control, in contrast, ties identity to outcomes. When circumstances shift, the one who seeks control feels lost because their sense of power depended on the things they managed to hold. Mastery grants freedom because it's built on skill, not circumstance. It's the quiet confidence of knowing that whatever happens, you have the wisdom and composure to adapt and thrive. Mastery begins with awareness of your habits, beliefs, and emotional reactions toward money. Control tries to suppress fear. Mastery examines it. Control demands that everything stay predictable. Mastery accepts uncertainty as part of the process. This difference in approach defines how wealth behaves in your life. Control-based thinking leads to constant tension, micromanagement, and burnout. Mastery-based thinking leads to clarity, flow, and sustainability. You don't waste energy trying to dominate every detail. Instead, you direct energy toward what truly matters: learning, creating, and growing. When you focus on mastery, you also shift from external validation to internal progress. Control wants to impress others. Mastery wants to improve oneself. Control says, I need more so I can feel safe. Mastery says, I'll become skilled enough to handle whatever comes. This change in focus not only strengthens your emotional stability, but also transforms how you experience money. Wealth stops being a number and becomes a mirror of your discipline, patience, and awareness. Each financial choice reflects your level of mastery, not your desire for dominance. A master of wealth doesn't fear loss because they understand flow. They know that money, like any form of energy, moves in cycles. It comes and goes. Control resists these cycles and panics when they shift. Mastery adapts. Instead of reacting with fear, it observes, learns, and adjusts. That calm response keeps opportunities open because clarity attracts solutions. The more you trust your mastery, the less you feel the need to control outcomes. Ironically, this surrenders brings greater stability because your energy remains balanced and receptive. Mastery also involves emotional regulation. Remember, money is not just something you earn, spend, or save. It's something you align with. It responds to your energy, your respect, and the value you give to yourself. When you cultivate balance, gratitude, and inner peace, wealth follows naturally. True prosperity isn't about control, it's about mastery, the mastery of your thoughts, emotions, and purpose. So walk forward with confidence, trust the flow, and let your calm energy become the magnet for everything you desire. Because when you are aligned within, abundance has no choice but to follow you.